Hello dear viewers, a very warm welcome to our channel. It's very good to have you here. In this video, we are going to have a look at symptoms of a bad car negative battery cable. A faulty negative battery cable or engine ground strap is a common source of mysterious and frustrating engine problems. Unlike a positive cable failure, which usually results in a complete loss of power, bad ground causes a wide range of intermittent and seemingly unrelated issues. Let's have a look at some of the key symptoms of bad negative battery cable or engine ground strap. First, a quick recap. The negative battery cable doesn't just complete the circuit. It is bolted directly to the car's chassis or car's body and to the engine block. This turns the entire body and engine into a return path to the battery. The ground strap is especially the cable that connects the engine block to the chassis, ensuring the engine is electrically grounded. When this connection is weak or broken, electricity seeks alternatives, often inefficient paths back to the battery. Now, what are some of the top symptoms of bad negative battery cable or ground strap? Number one, difficulty starting. This is the most classic symptom. When you experience difficulty starting, it could be caused by bad negative battery cable. You turn the ignition key and hear a rapid click, click, click sound from the starter solenoid, but the engine doesn't crank. Or you may hear a single solid clank and then nothing. The starter motor requires a massive amount of current to operate. Poor ground creates high resistance, preventing the necessary amperage from reaching the starter. Then the solenoid engages because it is driven by a small current. Then you hear the click, but the motor itself can't spin because of loose ground or bad negative ground. The second symptom is where you have flickering or dimming lights. Your headlights, your dashboard lights, or interior lights pulse. They flicker or dim noticeably, especially when you draw more power. For example, when you turn on the AC, when you pull up your power window, or when activating the rear defroster. The electrical system is unstable. A high demand components try to find ground. They steal the ground path that the lights are using, causing the voltage to fluctuate, and then you will have dim light. So flickering light or dim light can be an indication of poor ground connection. The third symptom is erratic electrical behavior. This is where it gets weird. Bad ground can cause multitude of strange issues. Well, for example, gauges might behave erratically. They sometimes spike or they sometimes drop for no reason. Infotainment screen resetting or turning off randomly. Power windows operating slowly or intermittently. Anti-lock brake system, check engine light, and other warning lights illuminating falsely. All this erratic behavior could be caused by poor ground connection. Modern car computers require a stable, clean ground reference voltage. A faulty ground provides a noisy and fluctuating reference, causing the modules to malfunction and send or receive incorrect signal. This will make them behave erratically. Symptom number 4 is where you have battery not charging properly, or you might end up with dead battery. Your battery keeps dying even after being replaced or after a drive. The battery light on your dashboard might flicker or stay on. Alternator needs a solid ground to regulate its output and charge the battery correctly. Bad ground can trick the alternator into undercharging, which leads to a dead battery, or in rare cases, overcharging, which can fry the battery and electronics. So, irregular battery charging can also be associated with bad ground connection. The fifth symptom is where you have visible damage on the cables. Well, you might experience during a visual inspection if you see a clear sign of trouble on the ground connection, that has to be fixed. You might be facing corrosion, for example, a white, green, or blue crusty substance at the connection point. It could be at the battery terminal, at the chassis, or at the engine block. Or you might experience burning or melting smell. The plastic insulation is melted or discolored, indicating that it has been overheating due to high resistance. Or you might experience crack or break. The cable itself is physically broken, or the wire strands inside are fried and broken. So these are some physical indications of a sign of trouble. visible damage on the cables can also be an indication of a poor ground connection. The sixth symptom is where you face engine misfire or rough running. This is where the engine is running rough, stumble at idle, or noticeable misfire is especially under load is observed. This happens when there is a problem with the ground, which causes the ignition coils and fuel injectors to act erratically. Fuel injectors and ignition coils require a solid ground to fire at the exact right moment. A poor ground connection can disrupt their operation, leading to weak spark or an improper timed fuel injection pulse. And finally, symptom number 7 is strange noise through the radio. You might hear a whining or buzzing sound from the speakers that change pitch when the engine is running. And the pitch of the abnormal noise or the whining noise changes as engine speed changes. This happens when the alternator AC ripple that isn't properly filtered to ground, up by the speakers by the audio system as interference. So if you happen to notice there is a whining noise or buzzing noise coming from your car radio, that could be an indication of poor ground connection. Now, in order to pinpoint if the ground connection is good or not, you can perform a simple voltage drop test. A visual inspection can be great, but a voltage drop is much better, which will definitely help you diagnose if there is a poor ground connection or not. For this, you can use a digital multimeter. Just ensure the car is in park or parking brake is applied. Then set your multimeter to DC voltage. Select low range like 2 volts or 20 volt setting. Then connect the red multimeter probe to the negative battery terminal. Go ahead and connect the black multimeter probe to the engine block. For this, you need to find a clean, unpainted metal spot like a bolt head, for example, so that the multimeter is perfectly connected to the engine block. Once you finish the multimeter connection, then have a helper try to start the car while you watch the multimeter. Now, if you have good ground, the voltage reading should be very low, ideally less than 0.2 volt or 200 millivolt during cranking. If you have bad ground, however, you might see increased voltage. If you see a reading of 0.5 volt or higher, then that indicates you have excessive resistance in the ground path between the engine and the battery. This will confirm a bad cable or bad ground connection. You can repeat this test between the negative terminal and then the car's chassis or firewall to check the body ground. So, this is a very simple voltage drop test that will help you pinpoint if there is increased resistance on the ground circuit or not. Now let's go ahead and have a look at what you can do if you have bad ground. Begin by disconnecting the battery. Always disconnect the negative battery terminal first for safety reasons. Then clean the connection points. Remove the ground cable from the battery, from the chassis and negative engine block. And then use a wire brush and baking soda water solution to clean all terminals and connection points down to bare shiny metal. Followed by inspection and replacement. If the cable is corroded inside the insulation, if it is fried, or if it shows sign of heat damage, then it's a good idea to have it replaced. And don't try to patch it. Use high quality OEM spec cable. Then once all the cleaning and the replacement is done, reconnect securely. Reconnect everything, ensuring the connections are clean and tight. So, a faulty negative battery cable or ground strap is often the culprit behind confusing electrical issues. Its symptoms are diverse because it affects the entire electrical system. If you are experiencing multiple electrical green lines, a simple visual inspection and voltage drop test on your ground should be one of the very first things you should check. Well, dear viewers, that is all we have for you regarding some of the things that you can do in order to pinpoint if you have bad ground connection or bad ground strap. If you find this video helpful and if you like what has been presented, please do smash the like button. If you are new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe. Turn on notifications so that you will be the first to get notified whenever we come up with another video. Until then, stay safe.